I don't know what it is with the Sunshine State, my own state, with cannabis sativa. I don't understand because Ondo State seems to be the champion when it comes to the growing of this very deadly.
when it comes to growing cannabis, you people can represent us in the Olympics. You know, and you bring home the gold
everywhere. It seems to be a very lucrative trade.
So it's the tradition has been there for so long. The tradition has been there, and it's like some parents inherited it from their own forebears, and they are handing it
to their children,
over to their children. So they are reluctant to give it up. And we just have to tell ourselves, ask ourselves whether indeed Indian hemp is a banned substance, because it's becoming more or less like something.
We are being hypocritical about it.
No, we are not. The enforcement is really not there, because even some of the policemen who are supposed to enforce it, they are bloody hemp smokers. I've seen there was an uncompleted building that used to be on my uncle's street. One policeman, once it is around 2 o'clock, he will show up there, not to arrest the smokers. He's coming to smoke his own. And of course, some of the boys will give him
similar.
Yeah, they will give him extra this so that they will not feel like harassing them. So the enforcement is not enough. You even see hotels where it is written no smoking of Indian hemp permitted here. You will see these boys, they will, and girls too. In the past, it was strange to see girls. Almost impossible to see girls in public.
Right now,
in public smoking hemp.
Parents will be shocked.
In today's Nigeria, even from the cradle, girls from secondary school, they are already learning how to smoke. Yeah. You see beautiful girls. Some of them, their lives will be in ruins if they are not allowed to smoke. They can't do without it. It's been with them for years.
And they have different names for this thing.
A lot of them.
Loud.
I've seen there are some videos I was seeing on social media where you see someone apparently running mad, just dumping.
Honestly.
At the same spot, they will be pouring water. The idiots will not even show any sign of recovery. Yet, people will still not learn.
You are tampered with that brain.
They will still not learn from him. They will be pouring him all kinds of. No, the boy will not even be able to. He does not know where he is. He can't explain his actions anymore. So, if we say Indian hemp is banned, the enforcement has to be better than we are doing now. Go around, even near police stations, you see people selling Igbo near police stations. They will go and bribe policemen, at the end of the day, nobody will touch them. You see bus drivers in their motor parks smoking Igbo, as if we have lifted the ban on its consumption.
I think with the coming to the table with General Bubamarwa has changed the narrative for NDLEA, because the last time I heard about NDLEA activity was during the time of General Bamayi.
Yeah.
As at that time, the fight was so vigorous and intensified. So NDLEA went to sleep.
Many of the even musicians ran away.
NDLEA was very active that time and everything. Now, since the coming into office of General Buba Marwa, now we've been hearing the activities across the country.
Yeah, I think Marwa always makes impact, even when he was governor of Lagos State under military regime. It was this regime that for the first time I saw that they were doing fumigation of our streets against mosquitoes. When it was the
Lagos State.
Yes, I was so impressed, and now as an NDLEA chairman, I'm not surprised. He has built that.
That agency has been sleeping. It has been coma.
I think it's not just what happened in Rose. In Sokoto State, they seized cocaine worth 1 billion. In Yobe State, they seized the cannabis worth 10 million. Almost every month.
Every day now we get updates from Fembaba.
So I think, like we have said, the Edo State, Edo, Ekiti, Ondo, They are more or less like the epicenter of, you know,
Just take the gold, silver,
of the
and
production of. I think why it has been very difficult is that to tame this problem, it is not really a crime committed by poor people alone. In fact, most of the time, elite, rich men, you know, lawyers, professionals, you know, you see that. And it has taken different forms of usage.
Think it's even status symbols.
Yeah. Some people miss it with as tea. So there's no way you even know. You
just bring a lot of experiments surrounding this thing.
You know. Then we have the vaporized version that you smoke it and then you inhale the vapor.
What they call it? Shisha.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not Igbo.
No, they use
cannabis. There's one stupid boy who is close to me who did not know that they had dropped the thing there. So it was one of our friends' birthday. He got there. So these two said he wanted shisha. They gave him. He just passed out like that.
Yeah. I think shisha is different.
But they dropped, I think they dropped some
must be adulterated
Igbo flavor.
And you know, even women who do their hair, they use cannabis because it enhances growth. It's very common. You may not know. You know, barbies, salutes, you know, and all that. So
they also use it for cake.
They bake cake, you know, cookies.
No, I think NDLEA they started arresting people because online people bake cakes. They will bake cake. They will think it's ordinary.
I saw a woman, a daughter that was arrested, you know, because they put Indian hemp in cake.
Yeah.
So you can easily eat cake at
yes, without knowing that. But overall, cannabis is bad, because it affects the brain receptors. You know, and when that happens, within the next 15 minutes, you see uncoordinated movement, loss of concentration, illusion, and even among children, it could induce suicide instincts among younger people. And if you go to some secondary schools now, it's common, you know. And then when you look at the end users, bandits, you know, terrorist organizations, you know, cult movements and cult organizations. So who use it probably because they want to carry out devilish acts and they think they have to be high. So I think it's a very dangerous substance, and we need coordinated response. Not just you know, going to the forest, getting the bags from the elements of, you know, from the time they start growing these things in the forest. You should be able to prevent it, and then we need. I think they acted on for intelligence because there are you know, hundreds of people that must have worked on the farms. They employ people, so it's not something that you can do alone.
Very lucrative.
It's, you know, it has a kind of a chain, a network. So it should not be so difficult for the government to track them down. But then we also need to look at the proposal of the governor of Ondo State. Because he's talking about coordinated cultivation for medical use. But I think it's going to be more difficult now because if you look at the environment, operating environment, to now talk about medical use, you know, it's going to be very difficult. But it's not something
when the cultivation is not even allowed.
Yes, so you can't be talking about
it like this.
Yeah.
By the time you now allow them to and a lot of them will say it's for medical use. Well, they are just to make themselves feel high.
All right, I have the spokesman of NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, joins us via Zoom for more insight on this battle against drugs in the country. Hey, Babafemo.
Yeah, AY, thank you very much. Thank you, Jide. Thank you,
Wale
Adeoye. Yes. I've enjoyed you so far.
Thanks. Now we want to ask you, how has the war been since your new boss took over? What fresh impetus has he brought into the war, and are we certain to win this war?
Absolutely, I can assure you that we are moving towards winning the war, going by the statistics of the activities of the agency from the beginning of this year up to this very moment. It's most certainly we're on the right path, and given all the necessary support that we need from stakeholders like you, the media, as well as the entire citizenry, would definitely win the war. I mean, it's not for us a kilogram or even a gram of illicit drug seized out there is a kilogram less what is available for people to abuse or to use. And in a situation where within a very short time, you are talking of seizure of over 2 million kilograms of assorted illicit drugs. That is huge. And within this space of time, we've been able to arrest more than 5,000 people.
5,
and out of this 5,000 traffickers, 5,000 persons connected to bordering on trafficking and use of illicit substances. And out of this figure, we've been able to, don't let us also forget one fact. Our work rests basically on 2 planks. That is drug supply reduction, where we have the real law enforcement, arrest, seizures, and prosecution. And on the other plank, that is drug demand reduction, where we also do the work of advocacy, counseling, and rehabilitation. And with the figure that is over 5,000 arrests so far, more than 500 of them in the last 6 months have been jailed and are serving jail terms at the moment. And more than 3,000 of them are still facing charges. Out of that, we've counseled and rehabilitated over 2,000 of them. That is huge. So to answer Jide specifically, I can tell you with these statistics, with these figures, these are figures or statistics that probably the agency might not have been able to record in the past year for a whole year or 2 years, but within a space of 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. That NDLEA was in coma. There was we weren't anything about NDLEA till General Marwa was appointed again in that position.
Yeah, it's all basically. I can tell you that the workforce of the agency has not changed. It's only probably some things have been rejigged and coming with a new leadership. Fortunately, Adeoye mentioned that given the antecedent of General Marwa, is somebody that will always want to succeed in whatever assignment he's found himself across this country. I'm sure we have his records, whether as military governor in Borno State or as military administrator in Lagos State. He's somebody that has always tried to make impact wherever he's found himself. And in this case, honestly, the officers and men of the agency are really, really, really appreciative of his leadership, and that is why they are taking all the risks and ready to do everything he asks them to do in terms of mopping up illicit substances from every part of this country. Like just a few minutes ago, I did release a statement on the operations the agency had undergone in the last 1 week. That is between 1st of August and yesterday, Saturday. I can tell you that in that operation, more than 8,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs were recovered from about 7 states across the country: Ondo State, Edo State, Anambra State, Bauchi State, Adamawa State, and Anambra State. So that is huge. When you talk of more than 8,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs, that is huge. I can tell you, because a gram alone can cause a lot of havoc in the life of an individual. So when you talk of over 8,000 kilograms, not gram, now 8,000 kilograms, that is huge. And we are happy that we're getting support from the citizens, and that's why we keep pushing for the citizens to buy in and take ownership of the war. That is the war against drug abuse, because when they take ownership of it, it helps. It makes the job of the NDLEA a little bit easier, because that way we know that we're not the only one involved. We know that we have partners in the citizens themselves who ultimately end up as victims of these criminal gangs if we don't do anything about it. So that's so far where we are. Yes, please.
Do you guys support this proposed controlled cultivation of the cannabis for health reasons? There have been a call like that.
I'm glad that Jide and Adeoye had also answered that question for me, Ayo, because you see, For instance, I know the state where that is being proposed at the moment, you would have seen the record of seizures in just 1 week from that state alone. So just imagine this time around is not. I'm even shocked that it's not even about cannabis that is being seized. Now all manner of drugs, illicit drugs, are being seized from that particular part of the country, which is not too good, and I think is something that calls for urgent action. I mean, by the leadership of the state. It's something that calls for concern by the leadership of the state. So it's something very serious that we all need to rise up against. As much as NDLEA is doing its part, we need every stakeholder in that state to also do their own bit, because when you are talking, I mean, when you are having this kind of challenge and now you are talking of legalizing, how do you legalize in the situation we are, where we know that there is a strong nexus between criminal activities and drug abuse in our society, in our own part of the world. So how do you legalize that kind of a substance? Then it's like you are trying to say that you want to create a fiefdom or a country of mad people, of junkies. I mean, it's not something really good for us if we want to. I mean, it's not even about, for me, I mean, all the arguments that have been put forward. The strongest of the argument had always been for economic reasons. And I asked one question. If you want to make money through legalization of cannabis, then you would have been losing double on public health, on mental care alone. So how do you balance? How do you prioritize economic benefits far and above mental health, the well-being of your people, law and order in the country? It's not logical. It doesn't add up. So that's why we believe that that kind of argument does not surface and does not help our situation in the country at the moment, given the security situation we have across the country.
Yeah, I would like to know what you are doing about public enlightenment to dissuade people from using cannabis, especially among students, primary, secondary school, university students, to dissuade them, because if you can reduce the consumption, that will actually affect the growth.
Because the market is there now.
That's like one at the moment. We have two things we're doing. The first thing is the interception, blocking access to these drugs. Blocking access to them. And I can tell you that is working for us, because at the moment, for instance, if you look at a drug like tramadol that used to be 20 naira per capsule before, is now 500 naira per capsule, meaning that it's not accessible. They are not getting it easy. So, and I have also followed some discussions online where some of these young minds are complaining that the prices of loud or skunk, I mean, they are getting out of their reach because we're cutting accessibility to these drugs. Then two, in the area of advocacy, we have also been pushing for drug tests, not only for people seeking public offices, but for students, whether fresh students or returning students. We have also been pushing for that, because when we conduct this, it will serve two purposes. One, it will serve the purpose of deterrence. Once you know that before you get admitted into the school, you will be tested, and if you are tested, if you test positive, you may not be able to join your mates for that section. Then you will think twice. Two, we also believe that drug tests would help to discover early enough some of these students that are abusing drugs. And when we discover early enough, the better they are treated, because drug addiction is like just any other ailment, and that's why we're trying to we don't want to criminalize it like as that, so that people that are already suffering this ailment would be able to come out and seek for help. Because if we don't encourage them to come out and seek help, they may be dying in silence or instrumentally, and we don't want the active population of our country to die in silence. And that's why we're pushing for drug tests, across all boards, so that this will help in deterring people from engaging or from indulging in drug abuse. Then beyond that, we're also trying to mobilize, quite a number of stakeholders from the state level. We are asking that at the state, at the local government level, at the community level, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations to set up drug control committees in form of war against, that will coordinate the war against drug abuse in their communities, in their areas of responsibility, so that it will be difficult for people in that particular location, in that particular community, either to sell or to even buy and use these illicit substances. So these are the things, and what you are also doing this afternoon is contributing to that effort. That is by bringing out the issue to the front line.
Femi, let's see you spoke about NDLEA, they spoke about terrorism, banditry, terrorism, and drugs some months back, that there's a kind of what do you call it?
Nexus.
Link between terrorism, banditry, and drug abuse, and you've been able to intercept people that are major suppliers and conduit pipes to these terrorists.
Absolutely. We have, before we could come out to say that, I'm sure you also know that General Marwa is a retired military officer, retired army general, so who has his own links within the system. And then I'm also privy to some interactions he's had with some victims of kidnap and some people that had gone into the bandits' enclaves, just to find out what is happening as far as drug use is concerned in that in the forest. And we've been able to establish that these people, they can't do what they are doing out of a clear mind. So they need to alter their mind. They need to suppress their humanity before they can go out to go and kidnap 300 school children, before they can go out to go and kidnap 80-year-old, 90-year-old men and women for ransom. You know, the kind of things they do, they are not things you would, you can think a normal human being will do. And so what they use, what they use to what what boosts their mind is to do this kind of thing is these drugs. You see, because their minds need to be altered before they can be able to do what they are doing. And that's why from even victims, we've been able to ask them what happened in their camps, and the victims have been able to say that these guys pop opioids almost every hour, and they are continuously on smoking India hemp, continuously, non-stop. And we've had also people that had interacted with them. And beyond that, even those that had been arrested, some of the bandits that have been arrested, you see, when they are in custody, after 1-2 days, when they don't have access to these illicit substances, they start showing withdrawal syndromes. That is because that drug is no longer in their system or is wearing out. So they'll start misbehaving. They become restless. They become agitated because a lot of them will prefer to have drugs in their system than to even have AK-47 rifles in their hands. Because with the AK-47 in their hands, without drugs in their system, they can't even go out and face our security operatives. So it's these drugs that embolden them to go out, to give them a sense of invisibility and to do what they are doing. So we have, that is established, it's an evidence-based fact that there is a strong nexus between drug abuse and the state of insecurity we have across the country. Whether you talk of insurgency in the northeast, you talk of banditry in the northwest, you talk of kidnap for ransom in the north central, and other security challenges in southeast, south, and southwest, all across the country. All of these at the basis is the problem of drug abuse.
I want to thank you, Femi Babafemi, the spokesperson of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Thank you so much for your contribution and this enlightenment.
Thank you very much, Ayo, Jide, and Adewale Adeoye. I appreciate it.
Yeah.